Philippians chapter 3, verse 1, the Bible says, finally, my brethren, rejoice in the Lord. Philippians chapter 4, verse 4, rejoice in the Lord. And again I say, rejoice. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 16, Paul said, rejoice evermore. Listen, our attitude ought to be curious. Now, you say, Pastor, what are you talking about? Listen, on Monday morning, we ought not roll in like the rest of the world. I mean, they roll in with their eyes bloodshot and their lips, just hanging on the ground. And I mean, they act like, man, it's the worst day ever. And you say, good morning. And they're like, what's good about it? And I'm telling you, God's people on Monday morning ought to go to work with a different kind of attitude. When we go to school, ought to go to school with a different kind of attitude. Brother, we ought to rejoice in the fact that, it don't matter if it's Monday or Friday. I'm saved on both days. And I ought to act like I'm saved on both days. I'm telling you, I have got something to shout about today. I'm born again. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing that I can do about it. I'm telling you, you are looking at a preacher that's on his way to glory. You say, Pastor, I'm not a shouter. Okay, then you at least ought to smile about it. Man, some Christians need to look in the mirror and tell their face to be happy. We've got something to rejoice about. You say, well, I know, Pastor, but what about the White House? What about the White House? What about God's house? Listen, what happens in Washington ought not affect our attitude. What happens in the Congress ought not affect our attitude. What happens in the Senate ought not to affect our attitude. I'm telling you, thank God, everything's all right in my Father's house. God's not in heaven taking tranquilizers and Xanax and everything else, trying to stay calm. I'm telling you, God is in control. Our attitude ought to be curious.